Hi, my loves. My name is Felicia Morgan, and welcome to my channel. Here I talk about faith, healing, and self-worth. So if that is what you're looking for, stick around. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button and turn on your post notifications. And let's get into today's message. So today I wanted to talk about no longer living in a fantasy world. Now, I need to clarify a few things because you might hear that and you might feel like, well, we should have a vision for our life. We should have expectations for our life. I'm not settling. That's not what I'm talking about, okay? So when I talk about a fantasy world, I'm talking more about a coping mechanism that you may have developed. Maybe I'm just talking to myself. I don't know. But I know I developed a coping mechanism. Now, this could be for a various amount of reasons. Maybe you felt physically unsafe. Maybe you felt abandoned. I think for me, it was more just feeling emotional neglect and feeling abandoned. And that is where this fantasy world where I was more accepted, more validated, that I started to live there. And it can be a dangerous, toxic thing when you're living there and not in your reality world. And so again, let me clarify. You should have a vision for your life. It is good to have a vision. It is good to have a God-given vision for your life. You should have expectations and standards that you're living towards and that you want out of your life. And I am a firm believer that when we have goals, when we have expectations for our life, then we can have more clarity about what steps should I take? What action should I take? What should I say no to when something pops up? Then you know how to navigate that because you have a clear picture of where you're going. But again, I'm just talking about coping mechanisms of not being present and living in a fantasy world that ends up harming you because then you end up going in circles and you're not really making progress because you're living over here instead of living here. Okay? And so for me personally, as you know, I've been sharing about my healing journey and just sharing along the way in hopes that you can also heal or not feel alone on your own personal journey. For me, I have to be more intentional with this because I've realized how much I haven't been content in life. Like, there's always something, there's always more I'm attempting to get or gain because I have not learned to be content, which means that even when God blesses me, that there's a part of me that's like, there's something more or it should look different. And that's not how we should be living our life. We should be living from a place of gratitude and thankfulness and contentment, which again is different from complacency and settling. So I will share with you the 3 things that I have been learning to be more intentional about being content with my life and dismantling that fantasy that I don't need to live in anymore. Now, side note, let me also add that these tips are only going to work if you've already gotten out of an atmosphere that is toxic that you should be avoiding altogether. So if you're in an environment that is causing you to still live in that world, then you need to make those first adjustments, and I'm praying for you. Number 1 is to live in the present. Be present. Stop going there. But be more intentional to say, like, when you feel yourself drifting or you feel your mind like creating this scenario that doesn't exist and quite frankly probably never will exist, remind yourself, be present. I have to say that to myself. Like, no, we're doing this. No, we're not going to scroll while they're talking. Be present. Number 2, accept things for what they are. We have to learn that everything is not going to go our way. Everything is not going to be the way that we imagined it. And even the things that we desire are going to come with some ups and some downs. And we have to be able to say, I'm okay with that. And I accept the pros with the cons. And again, as long as this is not a dangerous, toxic situation, accept it for what it is. In actuality, there's a lot of situations that I've ended up staying in longer than I needed to because I was constantly thinking about the potential, what it could be, what it used to be, and I was living there instead of living in what it actually was. And lastly, be okay with flaws. Your flaws and other people's flaws. Stop being hard on yourself. Stop over criticizing yourself. Stop gaslighting yourself. And understand that you are not a perfect person. You will never be a perfect person. And you know that. You believe that. But you operate in thinking that you have to be perfect. Again, maybe I'm just talking to myself. I don't know. But stop being so hard on yourself. Give yourself some grace and understand that you have a lot of gifts, a lot of talent, and a lot of strengths, but you also have some flaws, and that's okay. As long as you got good character, good morals, good ethics, we can work around the other stuff as you continue to get better and heal. And also remember that other people have flaws too. They are not going to be perfect. Now, if they have character flaws, that's a whole nother issue. You need to remove yourself. That's a whole nother issue. But somebody that has your back, somebody that genuinely is there for you, if they're making mistakes, just because they don't live up to the exact picture in your mind of how it should be, it's okay. And listen, it's okay to have standards. This is for friendships and significant others, right? It's okay to have standards, but if your standard is super duper high, I need you to give them people a little bit of grace, honey. And listen, with that, just use your discernment, use your wisdom. Again, I'm not telling you to settle. I'm not telling you to do something you shouldn't be doing. I'm not telling you to expect less out of life. I'm just telling you to be more content, live in the present, and accept things for what they are, so that we're not running to a fantasy world that does not exist. Alright, so that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. If any of those tips are something that you plan to be more intentional about in the next coming weeks and months, please comment below which one you're working on, which one you need to be more intentional with. And if you didn't do it in the beginning, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and turn on your post notifications so that way I can see you in the next one. Alright, that's what I have for you today. Bye.